Paul Warne under pressure, going to get sacked. What is going to happen with the Derby County manager? Now, there's been a lot of talk over the last few weeks about Paul Warne, about the recent form of Derby County, and about Paul Warne's overall away record in the Championship, whether that be with Derby County or with Rotherham. And there's been a lot of talk about it, and yesterday I put out a poll over on Twitter and also on my YouTube community to see what the sort of public perception is of you guys, and obviously other Derby County fans who maybe don't watch my content. Now, it's one of those for me where I think it's a really, really important conversation to be having at this point of the season, because we get to the point where if we end up in January in a situation where we're looking close to the drop zone, we have a situation where I think Paul Warne's job could be under pressure. Now, I ultimately said at the start of the season, I said it after the Blackburn game, if performances don't improve, he'll be gone by the November international break. Now, as we've seen, performances improved. We had a really good run. We've obviously just gone, was it 4 games unbeaten? I think 1 win, 3 draws, maybe 1 win, 4 draws, something along those lines. And for me, we've done okay, but you need to start turning those away draws into wins. We've got to pick up some wins on the road. Now, I've said across the course of the last 12 months, last 6 months, whatever, that I think that the magic number is 50 points. Now, we're currently sitting on 15 after 13 games, which isn't bad. Not at all. And at this rate, we'll obviously go on to get in and around that 50 to 60 point mark, which is, in my opinion, where we need to be. Now, the problem that I have is if you look across Paul Warne's Championship away record, this was done on Twitter by someone called DCFC Jubs. Paul Warne's Championship away record in 16-17, 0 wins, 1 loss, 13 losses. 18-19, 1 win, 8 draws, 14 losses. In 2021, which was the season behind closed doors, if I remember rightly, 6 wins, 5 draws, 12 losses. 22-23, 0 wins, 3 draws, 1 loss. Now, obviously, moved to Derby County midway through that season around October time. You obviously then come on to this season, which is 0 wins, 2 draws, and 5 losses. So, overall, in his managerial career across the course of 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, a percentage of 22, 23, and so far this season, he's had 7 wins in the Championship, 19 draws, and 45 losses, picking up only 40 points from 213 possible points. Now, for me, I think you have to go with the caveat of obviously Rotherham, a smaller team with a lesser quality squad and a lesser budget and things like that. But I think you also have to take into account that he's always struggled away from home. Now, obviously, a lot of people were probably going to caveat in this comments that we had our best away season ever last year, which, yes, that's absolutely correct. But it's also in the lowest division we've been in for God knows how long. And that's something which ultimately always bothers me about the records we set last year, is ultimately the caveat is they've been set in League One. They weren't set in the Championship. If I'd rather take a 50-60 point Championship season over a 80-90 point League One season. So you've got to caveat with that, and I think many people would agree with me on that as well. And for me, I think when you look at Paul Warne and you look at the way we've been playing over the course of this season, we are actually underperforming where we should be. No, we're overperforming, sorry, where we should be. We're 4 places higher than we should be. We should be in 18th place, which isn't bad. We'd still be above the relegation zone, but it's one of those for me where our problem is that away form. We've picked up 2 points on the road in, 7 games, 7 games, I think we're on, away from home. And for me, I do think that at some point the pressure is going to mount on Paul Warne, but I don't think it's going to be now. I don't think it's going to be across the course of the next couple of weeks. I think the pressure will really start to mount in the next flurry of fixtures, because we obviously go to, if I just find Derby County on Footmob and find the fixtures, you go after the next 2, which is Coventry and Plymouth. You've then got Preston, Swansea, Sheffield Wednesday. We've then got Leeds and Burnley, both away from home. Like, we've got a massive situation. Obviously, there's then Pompey. We then face Luton away, West Brom, Leeds. Like, we've got a difficult run coming out of this next international break. And I think this is where we get to the point where all those people that have been saying Paul Warne's doing a good job and things like that, the perception could really change over the course of the next 6 to 7 weeks. And in my opinion, if you are going to make a change, you make that change heading into the January window so that the new manager can come in and make those decisions on transfers. Because in my opinion, if you were to let a manager who you're unsure about continue and go through the January transfer window, you then get to a position where if they are sacked February, March time, you then got a manager that's got to come in and work with a squad of players who maybe don't fit the bill of what they're trying to do. And ultimately, I think the question will be for Derby County is, are we at risk of going down? And I think if you look at the moment, we're 3 points away from Plymouth Argyle in 22nd place. Ultimately, yes, we have 11 on goal difference. We obviously face Plymouth in a couple of weeks. We face a lot of these teams down the bottom over the course of the next few weeks as well. So it's sort of one of those where ultimately, if we win the Hull game, we win the Stoke game, you pull away from that middle pack, because that would have given us 6 more points, which obviously takes 3 points off them, and they would then still be sat on 12 and stuff like that. So it's difficult. It is a really difficult situation. I personally don't believe Paul Warne to be under pressure. I don't actually think he's going to be under any pressure this season at all, unless we get to March and we're sitting in the relegation zone. And I think he's done a good enough job up to this point at home to keep enough people on side. But I think ultimately, if we start to slip up at home and start to have those bad performances, not just on the road, but also in Pride Park Stadium, I think then you open the door for the conversations of, oh my God, we've got a situation on our hands. Are we going to go down? And then you've got the question of, how can you keep fans on side in that circumstance when they're looking at the league table, they're looking at the results, they're looking at the performances and seeing not anything spectacular. And I think if you look across Derby County this season, you can see that realistically, in my opinion, the only game where we've looked really, really good is probably that Bristol City game. I think if you go to the Hull game, I don't think we were great. QPR, I don't think we were great. Cardiff, I don't think we were great. And I think realistically before that, we wasn't great against Middlesbrough. Yes, we picked up the 3 points. And it's one of those for me where we've got a situation on our hands where if the crowd turns, we've got a big problem. The crowd turned around this, well, the crowd turned towards the start of the season last year. Paul Warne was given the backing of David Clowes, and obviously the script then flipped, obviously, and we started to perform, and arm sleeve Mendes Lang came out and he started scoring willy-nilly and putting up assists like they were going out of fashion. And ultimately, I think one of our biggest problems is our front three has contributed, 5 goals this season so far across the course of the league. I don't think we've scored that many from open play. I think, let me just go on the league table. We've scored 16 goals this season. I think half of them are from set pieces, or I think 10 of them are considered set piece goals, which is obviously brilliant for Paul Warne because that's what he wants to do. But you've got to be able to create chances in open play. I think if we go to the team stats across the course of the championship, I think if we go to where is big chances, we created 14th for big chances, which is 21. We've missed 15 of them. Is there a expected goals? We're 22nd with 12.5. We're shots on target, we're 20th with 3.5. Like, we're just in a very bad position. Now, we're in mid-table for XG conceded, which is 16.5, but it's one of those for me where we're just putting ourselves in a bad situation. Now, I don't know what managers are even available. I don't know who would even want to come to Derby County in the current situation. With obviously, we're not spending a great deal and things like that. But we'll obviously have to see what does happen. Obviously, let me know your thoughts down in the comments. And if you have not done so already, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell to stay tuned for all of my latest Derby County and EFL content across the course of this season. I personally don't think Paul Warne's under pressure, but let me know what you think down below. Make sure to go and find me on TikTok, pictured here, and Twitter, pictured here. These are the places where I'll keep you all up to date with all my upcoming videos and my thoughts and feelings around the Formula 1 and football week.